I'm sure you all remember the jihad, which we still have. You remember that they were foreigners too who invaded, landed in Sokoto, 1804, and conquered the portion in green in your map. They overran them. 1804. The British came in the 1860s. That means they were here 60 years before the British got here. Now, having secured that portion that you see in green, they were pushing downwards. They also wanted to get to the Atlantic waterfront. After a short while, it occurred to them, we're on the same mission, oh boy. Two robbery gangs after the same target. Say, why do we fight ourselves? Why don't you bring what you have? I bring what I have. We consolidate it so that we can share the benefit of having it permanently. And that was what became the amalgamation of 1914. Every document that transpired between them is in our possession, lodged in libraries across the world. Whatever they choose to do is already too late to be able to reverse the actions that have been initiated to salvage ourselves from what they've landed us into. Now, having reached that agreement, I'm sure some of us recall when the Caliphate were talking about dipping their Quran into the Atlantic Ocean. That is, they were telling the British at the time this matter of Nigeria, because it was for them a matter of conquest. That is, they had to conquer. But the British came with something else. They said, well, whenever you guys are done with whatever you came to do, we'll push on until we dip our Quran into the Atlantic Ocean. Anybody here ever heard about that? Wonderful. Now, the document of the amalgamation was one in which, I'm sure, who are the ones from South Africa here? Good. The apartheid, what the Boers did in South Africa was exactly what the Fulani did with their British friends over our heads here to make this place their own over the heads of the owners of all the lands. A master-servant relationship. This is an excerpt from a telegram from the Secretary for the Colonies explaining what they were about to do, because they didn't tell anybody in southern Nigeria that they were going to lump us together with the people of the north. The discussion was strictly between them and that caliphate. It was a German newspaper that leaked it for the first time on the 26th of December in 1913. It took almost 15 years of day and night exchanges, meetings, travels to piece together all those parcels of land that came under those treaties. They didn't tell them where it was all going. Everybody thought they were still, the Shekiri thought they were still in their treaty. The Lagos colony thought they were still in their treaty. Everybody, the British was tiptoeing over their head, merging them. It was in 1906 that they merged the entire southern territories to become the protectorate of southern Nigeria. From that 1906, they then began to merge the systems to mortally opposed civilizations, because on the other side, Sharia was already in place. They came as jihad. How do you create one political union with a group that owes it a duty of faith to kill the infidel? That duty never changes. No matter how you settle all the other things, the duty will never go away. You are the infidel, you have to be killed. They have a right in that their faith to lie to you. They call it taqiyya. They deceive you into thinking you are in another business until you get killed. And they are also of a feudalist worldview. You know what feudalism is? All men are not born equal. No matter what you do, what you achieve, you are no more than the slave you are to them, even if they have nothing or no education. Between the two, a terrible alchemy that as a slave, you dare not compete with your master for the ownership or control of whatever. The slave does not have a right to anything. no right to property, not even right to life. You know you can do away with your slave, kill your slave. And that was the civilization that was already in place, and the British knew. But they were also, they too were, what do we call them? They were feudalists too. And one thing led to the other. Eventually, they were able to piece it all together. That I'm now reading from that cablegram. Secretary of State, Secretary for the Colonies, his name was Harcourt, the one after which Port Harcourt was named. He says, in explaining what was about to happen the day before it did come public, that we have released northern Nigeria from the leading strings of the treasury. The promising and well-conducted youth is now on an allowance of his own and is about to effect an alliance with the southern lady of Means. I have issued the special license, and Sir Frederick Lugard will perform the ceremony. May the union be fruitful and the couple constant. Secretary for the Colonies, Lord Harcourt, boss of Lord Frederick Lugard, referring to the import and purport of the annexation of the then Protectorate of Southern Nigeria to the Protectorate of Northern Nigeria. So what they reported to you as amalgamation, as if there was some coming together of equals, was actually an annexation. And the purpose, what the British came to do, back to that map, please. Back to the map where what the British came in search of were all on this axis. But the people they met here provided resistance. You know what they call resistance? They fought and fought and fought to make a landing. I'm sure there are Yoruba people here. I'm sure some of you have had your song many, many times. If I begin it, will you be able to join me to end it? Your great-grandfathers fought the British for years and years, preventing them from landing. And your song you sang now was the victory song composed. Today, you are paying that customs religiously to people from this part. And from independence to date, not one of you had ever qualified to be Controller General of Customs. Now, I can give you up to 20 of these kind of examples. Who has ever been to Lagos Island, the Victoria Island here? Does anybody know where Bonny Camp is? Does anybody know where Eco Hotel is? The road that goes from the front of Bonny Camp to Eco Hotel, what's the name of that road? Ahmadu Bello Way. When you stand on Ahmadu Bello Way, is there any other thing to do to go to the ocean? You are on the last firm piece of land before the Atlantic. Have they not dipped their Quran into the Atlantic? Who collects the rent? The landlord or whoever? It's not the landlord that collects the rent. They take away over 2 trillion from these port operations every year. I won't call it misfortune. It so happened that a few months after Tinubu handed over to Fashola, we were at an event. He sat next to me. He was to speak before me. He finished, and I took over the microphone, and I asked him, I said, Governor Emeritus, in the 8 years you were governor here, what was the maximum sum you got from federal allocation? He was quick to remember. There was 73 billion naira. I had documents with me in that event showing that in all those 8 years, Nigeria did not take away anything less than 1.6 trillion as from port operation alone. 10% of 1.6 trillion is 160 billion. 5% therefore, 80 billion. Lagos getting 73 billion in the maximum meant that Lagos in those 8 years did not get even 5% of what Nigeria was taking away from their place. The event collapsed. It was a blue roof in Ikeja here. The event collapsed when, amidst all that noise, because I had come to tell them what we were doing, that If we do not act together to recover this land, you are not only going to remain the slaves you have been since that time, they will kill you and take your land and become the new owners to eliminate future claims. At the time these things were happening, we had also, in this project, we had also gone around the country whispering at that time to the other people who were in the same danger. Nobody will listen. We've arrived at 1914. Therefore, Nigeria was, as at that time, intended to be a marriage between the northern and the southern lady of means. I'm sure you hear about the oil industry, Ijo, blah, blah, blah. Who has been to Owerri here before? Does anybody know where they call Shell Camp in Owerri? Is there anybody here who has ever heard about Shell Camp in Owerri? There's a place called Shell Camp. I'm sure you do not know that Shell was headquartered in that place for 42 years, going to Port Harcourt in 1960. And it's not a small facility. You know the Modotel Hotel that has become Rockview? That's the gate area. Government House Owerri, the whole of that government house, was inside that facility. Avanikoku, the university, was inside that facility. The Federal Medical Center after the university was inside that facility. That's on one side of the road. On the other side, the whole of that mobile police camp, all the way to back of prison. All these listed were fenced together as the headquarters of Shell for those 42 years. They went to Port Harcourt in 1960, and M.I. Okpara, as Premier of Eastern Region, bought that property. Then Owerri was a provincial capital. Why did they go to Port Harcourt? Because the pretense that they were dealing with some Niger Delta, some people that could not be properly described. They just wanted to create a woolly condition around that discussion because the Igbo fought them. Obarewe, the Oba in Benin, you know how it ended. The King Jaja of Opobo, the one they had to send on exile, who migrated by himself from Amibo, next to Nkwere. That's where he came from. Now, what was going on? I'm sure you know Rumo Mashi and Rumo this and that and that. That was when, and why did they do that? They had sold your oil for 50 years before they declared Oloibiri. All the story you hear about Oloibiri, false. This oil was used in the First World War, in the Second World War.
Hi, my people. Welcome back. I know now don't watch and listen to the thing we be see they go on now. This problem we be see we did in here. No be to the way it starts. Many of us don't know things that the problem of Nigeria started right from when this they start this their fake amalgamation of the thing where they join the northern and the southern together, which is very very annoyed, and now be the thing where we say make things where we say they solve for this country they solve now, because if you carefully listen to the first man where we say talk for here, he don't expose the reason why them join north together and south together. They join the both together for these people to make sure of, because of their jihad. You know, say that time nobody today we all this jihad we people they talk start. This jihad now when the amalgamation starts, now they just do them like they join us together for the sake of the jihad, then for the sake so that okay all these Fulanis take over the country so that they conquer everywhere. That's why they join them together. And we think make them do that. The first one we say una see, he don't talk am. Although e get wetin me I go like make una wey say una dey watch me now. Get one question wey I wan make una answer. Na the question wey this guy wey be say I wan play im own video now ask. Now I wan make una answer because him talk something wey be say e dey confusing. Abeg, I'll be right back. Thank you.
The question is, who signed the 1914 amalgamation? Nnamdi Azikiwe was born in 1904. He was just 10 years old when the 1914 treaty was signed. Obafemi Awolowo was born in 1909. He was just 5 years old when the 1914 treaty was signed. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was born in 1912. Was 2 years old before it was signed. Ahmadu Bello was born in 1910. He was just 4 years old before it was signed. Michael Obara was born in 1920. The treaty has been signed 6 years before he was born. Who and who signed these papers on 1914 and called it amalgamation of the northern region and southern region? That we shall live together as one family without war, marginalization, conflicts of interest and crisis. These nationalists I mentioned above, some of them weren't born when the 1914 amalgamation of northern and southern Nigeria was signed. Some of them were still suckling at the time the amalgamation treaty was signed. You can't mix red oil and palm kernel oil together to get a good result. Neither do you mix water and oil together for you to make a good oil. You can't play jazz and etigi or skelewu in the club house at the same time and expect a good dance. You don't do that. Is it that we are learning how to spell democracy in our country, or the teacher does not know exactly how to teach us? This is fundamental and foundational questions that we must answer. This is not funny. Our problem started in 1914 because we don't know who signed it, and their names and their intentions for signing it, we don't know. If the so-called imperialists white signed it in the midnight while we were sleeping, the cock has crown. We have brushed out it and taken our bath. Our eyes have opened to look for the amalgamation treaty documents and do something about it. No northerner can sleep with his eyes closed in the southern part of Nigeria. And on the same hand, no southerner can do same in the north. Never done. You don't try the north as your friends. You don't do that. Intermarriage in Nigeria is almost a taboo. After 100 whopping years, we're still importing toothpicks. After a century of amalgamation, going abroad for medical checkup, our lucrative cash crops has gone to moribund. What a man. Nobody expects anything good from such contraption. Unemployment is a baptismal name for graduates. A police officer cannot boast of his work because of vestige of his salary. Our Basanjo Space Center and satellite office at Abuja cannot trace the location of Sambisa Forest. I'm telling you for real. And I repeat it again. Who and who signed this treaty? Please share this. Let us begin to ask questions. We need to get the right answer and we need to get something done. This is very annoying. This is not a country. Nigeria is a mirage. Nigeria is a contraption.
Welcome back. See, these countries have even they confusing at times because of the way things they go, because of the way things they solve. Maybe the way it they happen, ain't supposed to happen for this country because see, the only thing we need for this country now be one thing, and if we don't protect that one thing, there is no way we can go up. Because many persons out there, they don't use tribalism and many other things now to destroy many things in this country, which is very, very bad. Now we know like maybe that since they don't combine everybody together, where the amalgamation don't expire in 2014, make everybody either them go then we or they do one in Chelsea way. They do this country in Chelsea we them go they go against all these people will say they claim to be our brother, will say that they buy us. Now we think we get to talk now this buying of it in be the reason why we see we carry all this matter they come off every time. Though now we say that the year of sniping again till now want to concerning this we're gonna drop now on top for inside comment section. And also if today is the first time, please kindly like, share, subscribe. Thank you.